I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Yeah. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Yeah. Yes, I really love my job. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Yes, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. Yeshua, Yeshua. Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. We're disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted.
Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. Happy Thursday morning. My cousin Dave Donnelly, where's my mouse? There it is. Dave Donnelly, good morning. Vivian Davis, good morning. Everyone else a little slow to the computer, I think. I see people jumping on, but they're not registered in yet, so maybe we'll say hi to them in a second. So we ended the last couple devotions. We're looking at Matthew chapter 12. And the last 2 days, we've talked about the Sabbath day. And Jesus yesterday clarifies that the Jewish people and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all those religious leaders had absolutely ruined an understanding of the Ten Commandments and ruined an understanding of having no other gods but me and honoring the Sabbath day by creating all these man-made rules around it. They drowned the very intent of the thing from the beginning. So Jesus says, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Jesus says yesterday that it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath, right? If there's any day that we should be doing good, it's on the day in which God's people worship God, right? The idea that God comes down to this earth and is present with his people, good things should be happening. It's like when Jesus went into the temple the last week of his life, all of a sudden he kicks out all of the money changers and all the sellers of stuff, and he takes over the temple and heals, preaches the gospel, kids are praising God, all these things are happening because that's what's supposed to happen when we're in God's presence. Yesterday we ended with the Pharisees wanting to kill Jesus. I mean, does it just make your head split? And to me, when I think about Jesus and the Pharisees, I go through in my spirit, I go through the same cognitive dissonance I think that I'm going through today in my society. Like my head wants to split because it doesn't make any sense. How can you see a man heal on the Sabbath day and want to kill him? A man who says that he's from God, all he's done is talk about love and grace and forgiveness. All he has done is set people free, cast out demons, heal the sick. But because he broke our law, he deserves to die. Our reading begins there. Aware of this, aware of their intent. Jesus knows the intent of our hearts. Boy, if you think, one of the things that has become very apparent in my life over the last 20 years is realizing in myself that I can't hide anything from God. He knows the intent of my heart. I might hide it from you, I might hide it from Kimberly, I might hide it from someone else. I can mask it behind positive words or mask it behind something else. God says, I can cut through all that. I know your hearts. Aware of this, Jesus withdrew from that place. Many followed him. What did he do? He healed all their sick, warning them not to tell who he was, right? Because now everybody's beginning to realize that he's the Messiah. He's the promised one. And it says, this was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. And Matthew, who's a Jew, trying to write to Jews, to tell Jews that Jesus is the promised Messiah, quotes Isaiah 42, which is the first of the servant songs in Isaiah. And if you're not aware of that, maybe someday we'll touch base on that. But if you go from Isaiah 42 to Isaiah 53, you'll catch these servant songs that are all messianic prophecies. But listen to this one. Here is my servant whom I've chosen, the one I love, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out, till he leads justice to victory. In his name the nations will put their hope. I love that phrase, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Jesus didn't come to snap off the weak, to blow out the life of those who are off the truth. He's here to take the most frail of us, the weakest of us, and not do anything but love us back to himself. Love us back to himself. Jesus did not come to condemn the world, but to save it. I think it's utterly amazing at this point that Matthew, describing this hostility that the religious leaders are having with Jesus and the debates over the Sabbath day, pauses for a minute and says, wait a minute. This is all fulfilling Isaiah 42. He saw a man with a shriveled hand. He knew he was going to get flack for it. He didn't care about the religious leaders. He cared about that broken, that smoldering wick. He cared about that bruised reed, and he healed on the Sabbath. And for doing good, they hated him. That's the price we're going to pay, even in this world, for doing good in this evil, broken, sinful world. But like Jesus, we have not come to judge the world, but to save it. And we need to protect and to love those broken reeds and those smoldering wicks. We need to love them back to Jesus so that healing can take place and that flame can be relit. All right, that's what I have for you. Pamela C. Good morning, Cindy Siebert. Good morning, Bert Reggiani. Good morning, Emily. Good morning. I pray that this devotion was a blessing to you. Have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.